Good morning, you guys. Hello and welcome. Just a quick little intro on myself for all of you newbies who are watching. My name is Brooke. I am a graphic designer, but I also help moms and first-time moms who are expecting and getting ready to enter the postpartum period after they have their baby. I help guide them so they can feel their best, so they can go from feeling overwhelmed and alone to feeling like they're in control, to feeling empowered, to feeling more like themselves again after they have a baby as quickly as possible. So that's what I do. I am so excited to be on here and to be able to share with you guys what I've gone through. Through motherhood. I didn't even say I'm a mom of one. She is just over 1 year old, and just what I've learned on the journey to really help support you guys. I want to bring mothers together to lift each other up rather than, tearing each other down and comparing and saying what I do is best and what you're doing is wrong. And we need to stop that. We need to be a support system for each other and to really support each other as mothers. So that's my goal. And today I want to talk to you guys about why you might not want to have a birth plan. And I know what you're saying. I know what you're thinking, like, whoa, I'm a planner. I love planning. I have to have a birth plan. I have to have some kind of plan in place, right? Okay, just hear me out. Stick with me. I am like the world's biggest planner, so I feel you. So just hang on. I'm going to go through why you might not want to have one and what you can do instead of having a very strict birth plan. And I'm also going to share a little bit about my story. Okay, but I want to let you guys know that I have created a hospital bag checklist for all of you expecting mamas. So if you are planning to have a baby in the next 9 months, right? So I have a hospital bag checklist of what you can pack for the hospital. That for me, this was crucial. Like, I didn't even know what to bring, or I had some things we ended up bringing to the hospital that were so helpful. So I made a full checklist of what to bring for the mama who's in labor, what to bring for the partner, what to bring for baby, what to bring for after mom's in labor, like to get ready to go home and to recover. So it's a full checklist for you. If you want this, just throw a little heart emoji below and I'll make sure to send you the link so you can download that. But I want to give that to all my expecting mamas who are on the video today listening to me go live. So let me know if you want that. Throw a little emoji below of the heart emoji. Okay, I got a little sore throat thing going on, guys, so if I need more water, I'm sorry. But my throat does not feel so great. There's lots of colds going around. Okay, let's dive in to why you might not want a birth plan. And like I said, I'm sure you're like, but I have to have a plan. I get it. I am the world's biggest planner. Let's just dive in. I'll share my story. Okay. So I'm a planner. I'm the kind of person that used to have like the huge planner, like physical planner. And I actually think I might even have it somewhere. It's hilarious. And I would, color code it. And oh, here it is, guys. This is my old planner, guys. It's like 5 pounds. Okay. So when I tell you I'm a planner, I mean it. I'm a planner. And when our birth came, when we got pregnant, we started to plan our birth, right? That's what most mamas do. That's what most partners do with their moms, right? You start to plan it. Like, where is it going to be? What's it going to look like? What are we going to bring? What do I want? All these different things. You start to plan. That's what we did. We decided we wanted to have a home birth, and we started planning what that would look like. And I started to obsess over it. Like, in my mind, I had this like whole vision of what it would be like, what it would feel like, who would be there, what the lights would be like, what the surroundings would be like, where my dog would be, like all these little details. Like, I had it all planned in my head. Maybe it wasn't on like paper, but I had it so planned out, and I obsessed over it for months and months and months while I was pregnant. And we had a smooth pregnancy. Like, all of it was going so wonderfully. And all of a sudden, most of you who know my story have heard this. At 37 weeks, we found out our baby was breech. And that like turned our world upside down. Okay. Because a home birth with a breech baby is not ideal, not really recommended. So we were scrambling, and I had a total breakdown, a total mental, emotional breakdown from this. Okay. Flash forward. So found out our baby was breech on Friday. Flash forward to Thursday, just a few days later, to Wednesday, a few days later, my water had broke. We had planned to, try to flip her at the hospital on the Thursday. We didn't make it to that. We had tried to flip her with my midwife at home. Didn't work. We tried all these other different things. My point is, we had this plan to do this home birth, all right? And when it came down to it, we found out that wasn't going to go according to plan. We ended up having our baby in the hospital. We ended up having a C-section, and all of these things we got to choose. And I talk about this a lot more. I'm not going to go too far into my story, but as you can see, home birth to a hospital cesarean birth, totally opposite end of the spectrum, right? Amanda's watching. Hi, love. Totally opposite end of the spectrum. And the reason I think it hit me so hard mentally and emotionally was because I had planned so in detail like this home birth, and it didn't go according to plan. Okay. And it broke me. I had a very, very, very hard time recovering mentally and emotionally from our birth because of that, and for lots of other reasons. And I talk about this so much more. But my point is that we had this strict plan and it didn't go according to plan, and I really struggled. So you're probably asking, okay, what do I do? Like, what do I do instead of making a plan? So my recommendation for any mamas expecting is to make a list of birth preferences, birth wishes even, to not get so wrapped around a plan of, and the plan being like a strict thing of what you have to have happen, but having preferences, things that you would like to have. Okay, so I'm going to give you some examples. And we did this a little bit. We did have a backup plan. So, which is funny, we actually had registered at the hospital just in case of emergency from our home birth. Just in case. And I'm so glad we did, because look what happened. This all ended up where we were at the hospital. So we had a list of things that we would like to have either at home or at the hospital. So things can look like this. So maybe you do want a home birth, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think there are so many beautiful home births. Our midwife has birthed so many beautiful, healthy babies at home. So home birth can work for so many mamas. Maybe you want a home birth, but you have a hospital backup in place. You have that plan B, you have plan C, right? So you're not just set on one path for your birth, and then you get totally heartbroken and disappointed if it doesn't work. Maybe you do register at the hospital like we did. So you have that backup plan in place. You are already in the system. You know what the hospital looks like. You've seen the rooms. You kind of have a little peace of mind then, okay? Maybe you want skin on skin. So as soon as the baby's born, you want the baby put right on your chest to have skin on skin, which I love and I still recommend. You can do that in the hospital. You can do that at a home birth. You can do that after a cesarean. That's what we asked for. My point is to have a list of these things that you want. Maybe it's delayed cord clamping. Maybe, different things like that. Maybe you don't want Pitocin. Have a list of things that you maybe would or wouldn't want, so at least you can ask the question. All right, you can ask your doctor in the hospital, you can ask your nurse, you can ask your midwife, can I do this? Can I not do that? Why do I need that? I would really like to have skin on skin. Is that something I can do even after the cesarean? Ask those questions, because that's going to make you feel like you're in control. Because I know birth can feel like, for us, it felt at times like we had no control over it. It was just this like thing that was happening, and like I couldn't do anything about it. No, mamas, you have control. You have choices in your birth, whether you're at the hospital or whether you're at home. So having a list of birth preferences, things that you would love to have, things that you can ask, are going to really help you. So I recommend making a list of things like I just said, like skin on skin, delayed cord clamping, you don't want Pitocin, you don't want the baby to have a bath after it's born. Like all these things you actually have choices on that you can ask the question. Now, remember that it might not work out, right? Like I didn't want to have any medication, and here I ended up in the hospital with a cesarean. So, I wanted delayed cord clamping, and they couldn't do that for very long because I had a C-section. I was cut open, right? So in order to save my life, they couldn't just leave me cut open. So things like that, like you can ask questions, and you can have your list of preferences to ask, and obviously if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but at least you know that you've had choices and you've asked the questions. And I think having that list of preferences is so much better than having a rigid plan and having a strict idea of what's going to happen, because birth is so wild. It's so unpredictable in that sense, where different things can happen to you during birth, and it might not go according to your plan in your head. So I want you guys to have a list of ideas of things that you might want, rather than having one strict path. I hope that really helps. And knowing that you have choices, like I said, is going to lead you to feeling empowered in your birth. I walked away and I look back, over a year ago now, and I do feel like I was empowered because I had choices, because we asked questions. Even though our birth did not go according to plan, I feel empowered by it because we did ask so many questions. We did make the choice to have a cesarean. We did make the choice to go to the hospital. We made all those choices. So I didn't feel like in the end, it just was pushed on me. I didn't feel out of control, like I was forced to do anything. We made the choices, and that leads to empowerment in birth, in my opinion. Okay, so now that we kind of talked about that, having a list of preferences, I'm going to talk about how to recover if your birth doesn't go to plan. Because like I said, as you guys have heard, our birth didn't go to plan. So like I said, I struggled mentally and emotionally for many, many months. I would say I had some postpartum depression because of it, of course, on top of all the hormones and everything going on after birth. But I really struggled because I did not have the birth that I thought I would have. And people are going to tell you, mamas, that a healthy baby is all that matters. That's all you should be worried about. And that's like my biggest, it just makes me want to freak out. Obviously, guys, as a mom, your baby is so important to you. Your baby is the number one thing that you're ever thinking about. Of course, their health is number one to you. Duh. But that doesn't mean that you aren't birthed as a mother. It doesn't mean that your birth experience doesn't matter, right? You are also going through your birth, not just your baby. So your mental and emotional state matters. So if you struggled through your birth and you did not have the birth you wanted and you are struggling with how things happened, that's okay. Don't ever let anyone make you feel like you can't feel that way, that you shouldn't feel that way. Don't let anyone guilt you to feeling like, oh, you don't care about your baby because you are complaining that you didn't have a good birth. No, you're allowed to have those emotions and to have those feelings, and birth happens to both of you. You birth your baby and you are birthed as a mother. So that is a huge, huge experience that every mama goes through, no matter what your birth looks like. It's a huge experience. So now, if you did not have a birth that went to plan, like I did, this is for my current mamas who have gone through birth, right? Some things that I did to really help me was I first of all allowed myself to feel all the feels. I allowed myself to go through those emotions. I allowed myself to cry. I allowed myself to get mad. I allowed myself to be really happy at times too. Like I went through all those emotions and I didn't try to hide them. I didn't try to say like, okay, I'm just not gonna go there. No, I just freaking let it go. My husband will tell you, my midwife will tell you, I just like all the tears. Okay, so I let those emotions go. I journaled. It took me a little while to start journaling because I couldn't really go and write down my birth right away. I was like too emotional about it. But after a little while, I started to journal and I wrote down our birth story. I actually wrote it like physically on a journal, and that was so therapeutic for me to put it down on paper and to let out my feelings and emotions and relive it on paper. For some reason was very, very therapeutic for me. So I highly recommend, if you are struggling with how your birth went, to really start writing it down. And that it's such a personal thing. Like you don't have to talk to anyone about it if you don't want to, but personally, like just writing it down, it feels so good. Now, on the other side of that, if you do want to talk to other people, I highly, highly recommend it. Community saved me. I started to share my journey on social media. Like many of you will know, I shared our birth story. I started talking to so many other moms who struggled with their birth, who had breech babies, who wanted a home birth even and didn't get that, or wanted this, wanted that, and didn't have that happen. I started talking to you mamas here on social media, and you guys saved me. You really did, because sharing my story and realizing that I wasn't alone made me feel so much better. It really helped me to recover and to overcome a lot of the things that I was struggling with. So I highly recommend talking to someone, finding a community of other mamas. Maybe it's a therapist. There's no shame in that, to go and talk to someone, to let things go and to get things off your chest. I highly recommend that. Giving yourself time and grace. That's a big one. Giving yourself time, giving yourself the grace to know it's going to take a little while to recover. It might take months, it might take years, and that's okay. There's no rush. There's no pressure to like move on and get over it. I think in this world we think like, have your baby heal, get better, and you're off and running at 3 months. Guys, it takes us so much time. We are forever postpartum. We Our bodies and our minds are forever changed after having a baby, and in so many beautiful ways, but also in so many ways that take time to really recover. So give yourself that grace as you are on your recovery journey. I would say also another tip that helped me was to focus on the empowering moments. Like I said, our birth didn't go according to plan, but I had so many moments with my husband to make choices. We talked about things, and we made the choice to go to the hospital. We made the choice to have a cesarean. Like, we made all those choices, and looking back now, I feel empowered because we did that. Because I didn't just say like, well, doctor, tell me what to do. We asked, okay, what do you recommend? What are our choices? And my husband and I sat down face to face, and we had everyone leave the room at one point, and we said, what do we want to do? What's the best thing for us and our baby? And we made that choice. So looking back, look at the moments in your birth where you feel empowered. Find those moments where you have gratitude and where you have positivity, and focus on those. Because of course there's going to be hard moments, and you might have challenging times that you went through, but focus on the moments that make you feel empowered. And I think those help you push through on the hard days when you're really struggling mentally and emotionally about your birth. Focus on the empowering moments. Well, that's all I got for you today, mamas. I hope that was helpful. Again, if you guys want that hospital bag checklist for anyone who is planning to have their baby, getting ready, and no matter what your birth looks like, I recommend having this checklist because, like I said, I planned a home birth. I did not have a hospital bag packed. I did not have a list until the very last second, and I packed my hospital bag while I was in labor. So don't recommend that. If you want this list, drop a little heart emoji below. I will send it to you so you can download it and use it and have it be a place where you can kind of get sparked for some ideas for what to pack. I hope this is helpful for any mamas who are expecting. Congrats. This is a beautiful journey. Motherhood is amazing. It comes with its challenges, but it's nothing that you can't handle. You are strong. You are a warrior. And I am so excited to be on this journey with you. Thank you for listening.